My beloved, have you ever wondered why certain paths in your life keep leading you back to the same crossroads? The same question written in your heart, like a compass needle trembling between directions, always pointing towards something you cannot quite name but somehow know is real? That feeling is not confusion. It is not a flaw in your soul. It is not evidence that you have done something wrong or taken too many wrong turns. That restlessness, that quiet ache that surfaces when you lie still and all the noise of the day finally fades, that reaching inside you towards something just beyond the horizon of what you can presently see, that is the pull of your purpose, calling you home. And I am the one who planted it there. Before the world was old enough to have a name for the season in which you were born, I knew every detail of what I was weaving into your nature. Not in a general way, not the vague knowledge of a craftsman who has made so many things that each one blurs into the next. I knew you with precision, the particular pitch of your laughter, the specific way you grow quiet when something touches you deeply, the exact combination of sensitivity and strength that lives in you, and that no other person in the long history of human lives has ever carried in quite the same way. I knew the shape of the gifts I was placing in your hands before your hands existed to hold them. This is the first thing I want you to understand. Your purpose is not a mystery I am withholding from you as some kind of test. It is a revelation I am walking you toward. Step by step, moment by moment. Sometimes through the widening of a door you almost did not try. Sometimes through the closing of a path you were certain was yours. Always through love. Always with a destination in mind that is richer and more meaningful than anything you have imagined on your own. Come, let me walk this road with you a little while, and let me show you what I see from where I stand. There is something about the way a journey begins that sets the tone for everything that follows. Think of the traveler who steps out on a path in the early hours, when the ground is still damp and the light is new, and the air carries that particular freshness that belongs only to a world just waking. That traveler does not yet know every turn in the road. Every hill and valley has not yet been mapped in the mind. But there is a direction. There is a momentum. There is the feel of purpose in each forward step, something that transforms the simple act of walking into something sacred. That is how I designed your life to feel. Not a confusion of random events. Not a series of accidents strung together with occasional moments of meaning. A path. A road I laid for your feet with extraordinary care. And the restlessness you have felt, that wondering why you are here and what you are supposed to do with the particular life you have been given, that restlessness is not your enemy. It is your guide. It is the forward pull of purpose making itself known in the only language available to you before you receive the full revelation. Precious lamb, listen carefully. You did not arrive in this world by accident. This is not a comforting thing I say to everyone because it sounds nice. It is a precise and specific truth about you, about your DNA, about the exact mix of experience and temperament and gifting that makes you the person you are. I assembled you with intention. Every element of who you are was chosen to fit within a larger design that stretches far beyond what you can currently see. The family you were born into, the challenges that shaped your early years, the losses that left marks on you, the unexpected kindnesses that found you at low points, the passions that awakened in you without explanation, the interests that have followed you throughout your life like faithful companions even when you tried to leave them behind. All of it, every thread, was woven together with a purpose in mind. Nothing was wasted. Not the hard things and certainly not the beautiful ones. Every piece of your story has been moving you toward the road I built specifically for you. And now, at this particular point in your journey, I want to speak with you about that road. Not in vague generalities, not in comforting noise. With the clarity of a guide who knows every stone on the path, who has walked it before you and who walks it now beside you, who can see both where you have come from and where you are going in a single glance. There are gifts in you that have been waiting. I want to tell you about them. When I shaped the person you are, I did not choose your gifts at random. They were selected with surgical precision for the work I had in mind. The compassion you feel when someone is hurting, the depth of it that sometimes surprises even you, That is not a personality quirk. It is a tool. The way your mind works, the particular angle from which you approach problems, the connections you make between things that others pass right by, that is not an accident. That is a capacity designed for a specific contribution only you can make. The thing you do that comes so naturally you have sometimes dismissed it as ordinary. That is exactly the thing that is extraordinary. Consider how long you have carried certain gifts without fully recognizing them as gifts. How long you have possessed particular capacities and called them nothing more than preferences or tendencies. You did not realize that the way you notice the people in a room who are struggling, the way you instinctively move toward the one who is standing apart from the group, rather than toward the ones who are loudest and most visible. You did not realize that this is the shape of a calling. You thought it was simply your personality. But I shaped your personality precisely to equip you for the work I had in mind when I thought of you. The things that come most naturally to you are often the things that cost others the most effort. What feels like breathing to you feels like climbing to others. That asymmetry is not coincidence. It is design. It is me encoding into the fabric of your nature the exact capacities required for the exact contribution your life was meant to make. I have watched you minimize your gifts for so long, not out of dishonesty, but out of genuine uncertainty. You look at yourself and you see ordinary, where I see singular. You look at what you have to offer, and you wonder if it is enough, where I see something that fits perfectly into the space I prepared for it. This is one of the great sorrows of a human life not yet fully aligned with purpose. The person holds a key in their hand and does not realize it is a key. They carry it as a trinket. They nearly throw it away. I do not want you to throw away your key. The path of purpose, the road I designed for your particular feet, requires those exact gifts. Not a revised version of you. Not a version of you that is more like someone else you admire, or less like the parts of yourself that feel strange or unusual. The full version, the complicated, specific, unique in all creation version of you. That is the one I need on this road. That is the one the world needs on this road. But let me address something that lives quietly in the background of your life, because I know it is there, and I do not want to speak about purpose without speaking about the thing that has been making you hesitate at the edge of it: fear. The particular kind of fear that does not always announce itself loudly, but moves in the shadows of your decision-making. The fear that says perhaps you are wrong about the direction you sense. Perhaps the call you feel is just wishful thinking. Perhaps you are not qualified, not experienced enough, not prepared for what would be asked of you if you truly stepped onto the path I am showing you. Perhaps the gap between where you are and where your purpose is calling you is simply too wide to cross. I want you to bring that fear to me right now. Not to analyze it, not to argue with it, but to lay it down. Right here, in the middle of this conversation. Because the fear you are carrying about your purpose, the anxiety that tightens around your chest when you try to imagine actually walking fully into the calling you sense, that fear does not know what I know. It has access to your past and to your present limitations. It does not have access to what I have already prepared. It does not see the provision waiting at each station along the road. It does not know the people I have positioned in your path, the resources I have aligned before you get there, the strength I replenish in you at every point of exhaustion. The fear is working with incomplete information. I am working with the complete picture, and the complete picture is beautiful. Let me stay with this fear for a moment longer, because I want to do more than dismiss it. I want to walk through it with you, carefully, the way a guide walks a traveler through the section of a path that is overgrown and difficult before it opens into something clear and wide again. The fear that circles around purpose is a very particular species of fear. It is not the ordinary fear of physical danger or immediate threat. It is something more subtle. It is the fear of being wrong about yourself, of reaching for something significant and finding, in the reaching, that you were mistaken about your own value, your own capacity, your own call. The fear says, what if you step out in faith and discover that you were not actually called? What if the sense of purpose you have been carrying was just your own wishful thinking, your own need to believe you matter, projected onto a silence that was never actually speaking to you? That fear goes very deep, and I want you to know that I understand why it is there. It is there because being wrong in this particular way would be costly. Not in practical terms, though it might feel costly there too, but in the tender places of the soul. To step into a purpose you believed was yours and find yourself mistaken would feel like a wound at the level of identity. And so the fear serves a kind of protective function. It says, if you never fully step in, you can never be fully wrong. The door you never try to open is the door that can never be closed in your face. But here is what the fear does not understand. The door I built for you does not close in your face. The road I designed for your feet does not end in a cliff edge. The calling I placed in you is not a setup for humiliation. I am not the kind of father who calls his child toward him and then steps back to watch them fall. Every invitation I extend is genuine. Every call I place on a life comes with the full commitment of my presence and provision for the journey it requires. The fear is protecting you from something I never intended to do to you. So when it rises up and whispers that you are probably wrong about this, that the sense of calling is most likely just your own desire dressed up as something sacred, I want you to hear my voice saying clearly, you are not wrong. The longing you feel is not self-deception. The gifts you carry are not accidental. The pull towards something larger than your current circumstances is not wishful thinking. It is the pull of the road I built, calling you forward with the same faithful insistence of a path that knows where it leads, even when the traveler does not. The protection you need from uncertainty is not the protection of standing still. It is the protection of walking with me. And that protection is guaranteed on this road. Now there is another anxiety that often lives alongside the fear of being wrong about purpose, and I want to address it directly because I know it lives in you too. It is the anxiety of inadequacy, not the question of whether the call is real, but the question of whether you are sufficient for the call, whether the person you actually are, with all the gaps and limitations you know intimately from the inside, is truly the person the road requires. The gifts you carry feel smaller to you than they do to the people whose lives they touch. This is almost universal among the people I have called to significant purposes. The view from inside your own capacity is always narrower than the view from outside it. You see your own uncertainty, your own learning curve, your own interior monologue of self-questioning. The person you helped does not see any of that. They see only what arrived through you, and what arrived through you was exactly what they needed, delivered in exactly the way they needed to receive it. Do you understand what this means? The gaps you spend so much energy worrying about are largely invisible in the actual execution of your purpose. They are visible to you, in the mirror, in the quiet assessment of your own limitations. But in the field, in the actual moment of your purpose being lived, what shows up is what I gave you. And what I gave you is sufficient. Not sufficient in the sense of barely adequate, scraped together at the last minute and hoped to be enough. Sufficient in the sense of precisely calibrated. Enough in exactly the right way for the exact work I designed you for. The fit is not approximate, it is specific. I did not build a road that requires more than the person I designed to walk it. When the moments on the road feel beyond you, when the assignment seems larger than your capacity, I am the supply. I am what fills the gap between what you have and what the moment requires. This has always been how purposeful lives work. Not self-sufficiency walking a road that happens to be within reach. A person walking a road that stretches beyond their natural reach, sustained at every point by the one who designed both the road and the walker. This is not your strength alone. This is your strength held within mine. And when you are exhausted, when the road has been long and the giving has been deep, and you feel like the well has run dry, I am the one who refills it. Not sometimes. Every time. The purpose I gave you does not come with a finite supply of energy to sustain it. It comes with access to a source that does not run out. The strength required for the calling is not stored in you like a battery that depletes. It flows from me into you like water through a channel, continuously, as you stay connected to the source. Stay connected to the source. This is the single most important maintenance required on the road of purpose. The road I set before you leads somewhere that matters, deeply, specifically, the kind of matter that cannot be measured in the usual ways. Because what your purpose touches, what your obedience to the calling on your life eventually reaches, is the lives of other human beings. Real people with real needs. People who will be changed because you said yes to the road. People who will find healing because you showed up in the specific place and specific way that only you could show up. People who will discover their own path, in part because yours crossed theirs at the right moment. Your purpose is not just about you. It never was. This is one of the reasons it has felt so significant, so much larger than your ordinary daily life. Because it is larger. It was designed to flow beyond you, through you, into the lives of those whose names I know and whose needs I have already seen. The impact of a life lived in alignment with its purpose cannot be fully calculated. It ripples in ways that the person walking the road will not always see. It touches people they will never meet in this life. It changes trajectories. It opens doors in other people's stories that would have remained closed without the contribution of this one faithful life. Your faithfulness on the road matters more than you know. This is the road I am walking you toward. And I want to show you now how the revelation of purpose works. Because I think understanding the process will help you trust the journey, even when the destination is not yet clear. Purpose is rarely revealed all at once. The traveler who knows every bend in the road before they reach it does not walk in faith. Faith is the condition under which purpose grows clearest. Not because I am trying to make things difficult, but because the road itself is the formation. The walking is the preparation. Every step you take in the direction of the calling, even when you can only see the next yard of road in front of you, is building something in you that you could not build any other way. Think about what is built in the heart of a person who chooses to move forward when they cannot see clearly. When the next turn is uncertain and the destination is still veiled, and the only thing driving them is the steady sense that this is the direction they belong in. What is built in that person is the kind of trust that cannot be built any other way. Not trust as an intellectual position, not trust as a practiced affirmation, trust as a living, tested, proven in the walking reality. The kind of trust that holds when the road gets difficult. The kind that does not collapse when the visible signs of progress are thin. The kind that has been formed through the actual experience of moving forward in uncertainty and finding, again and again, that the road holds. Obedience to what is clear prepares you for revelation of what is not yet clear. This is how the journey works. When you said yes to that thing that seemed small, that quiet nudge to reach out to someone, to share something you had learned, to offer your time or your skill in a situation where you wondered if it would matter, you were stepping onto the road, even if it did not feel significant, even if no dramatic sign confirmed you were on the right path. You were walking, and I was building. The character that purpose requires is built precisely in those ordinary moments of faithful stepping forward. The trust that your calling demands is grown precisely in those stretches of road where you walk by what you know of me, rather than by what you can see ahead. Every step has been preparing you for more road. Let me talk to you about the seasons of preparation that did not look like preparation. There were stretches of your journey that looked like nothing was happening. Seasons when you were doing what you knew to do, being faithful in the small things, seeking direction, asking questions, and the sense of forward movement that you needed to feel was simply not there. The road felt like it had plateaued. You were walking but not arriving, giving but not seeing the fruit, building but not seeing the structure rise. Those seasons are among the hardest on the road of purpose. Not because they involve dramatic suffering, though sometimes they do, but because they require a kind of faith that does not have the momentum of visible progress to sustain it. The faith of the plateau is the quietest and in some ways the most demanding faith of all. It is the faith that says, I know the road continues even though I cannot feel it moving under my feet. And in those plateaus, what I was doing was working in the places you cannot see from the surface. Deepening the roots, broadening the foundation, forming in you the specific qualities that the next section of the road requires, qualities that cannot be rushed, that do not respond to urgency, that grow only in the long, steady practice of faithfulness in the apparently unremarkable. Patience. The real kind. Not the kind that is merely waiting with its arms crossed, wishing time would move faster. The kind that has settled into the present and found, even here, even in this unremarkable stretch, something worth tending. That patience is a capacity your purpose requires. The road ahead will have stretches that need you to stay in one place longer than your ambition would prefer, to tend a thing carefully when you would rather be visibly moving, to water what you cannot yet see growing. The plateau formed in you the capacity to do that faithfully. Wisdom, the kind that is not found in books, though books can point toward it, the kind that grows from having lived through something, survived it, and come out the other side with your understanding of the world deepened and your understanding of yourself clarified. The hard seasons of your past, the places where the road was rough and the footing was uncertain, and you had to pick your way forward with more care than speed. Those seasons installed a quality of wisdom in you that no easy road could have given you. You know things now that you could not have learned without having walked through what you walked through. Humility, not the kind that is performed for an audience, the kind that was forged in the actual experience of your own insufficiency, of coming up against the limits of your own strength and having to receive help, of being wrong in ways you had to acknowledge, of needing grace and finding it and understanding in the receiving of it something deep about the nature of the road you are on. The purpose I designed for you requires a person who has learned to hold their gifts with open hands, who knows that what they carry was given and not manufactured, who does not confuse the gift with the giver. Those plateau seasons, among other things, were building that quality in you. The preparation is never wasted. Every season of it, however unremarkable it felt from the inside, was adding something essential to the person the road requires. And sometimes, the preparation has included things that felt very far from any sense of purpose. The season when nothing seemed to be moving. The stretch of road that felt more like a waiting room than a path. The long silence when you prayed for direction and heard what felt like nothing back. Those seasons were not punishment, and they were not abandonment. They were the quieter kind of formation, the kind that cannot happen in motion, the kind that requires a certain stillness to take root. In those still seasons, I was working in the underground places of your character, deepening the roots, preparing the foundation for what would need to stand on it later. The tree that has been through a long winter arrives at spring with a root system strong enough to bear the weight of new growth. The season of silence in your journey was building something like that, invisible, underground, essential. And the new growth that is now pushing upward, the fresh sense of direction and readiness you feel stirring in you, that is exactly what those roots were built to support. Let me speak now about the specific shape of your calling, not in a way that limits you, but in a way that orients you. Because I think one of the places the anxiety around purpose comes from is the belief that purpose is one singular dramatic thing, one grand stage on which your whole life suddenly makes sense. And while there are certainly moments of clarity like that, of standing in exactly the right place at exactly the right time and feeling the pieces lock into perfect alignment, purpose is also woven into the ordinary texture of a life lived with intentionality and love. Your purpose is not hiding in some future version of your life that you have not yet reached. It is also present here, in the life you are living right now, in the way you carry yourself through this day, in the quality of attention you give to the people around you, in the faithfulness with which you tend to the gifts already in your hands. Purpose is not only a destination, it is also a way of walking, and so the question is not only what am I supposed to do with my life, the question is also, how am I supposed to walk today? Because the answer to the second question is always the practice ground for the answer to the first. The road reveals itself to the one who is already walking. I have been watching you in your quiet moments, the ones where you sit with something you created, something you made with your hands or your mind or your heart, and you feel a satisfaction that runs deeper than accomplishment, a rightness, a sense of having done the thing you were made to do. Those moments are compass points. They are me showing you the shape of your gifts. They are the road indicating its own direction. Do not dismiss those moments as self-indulgence. Do not explain them away as simple emotion. They are data. They are information from the deepest level of your design, confirming what is true about who you are and what you are built for. Pay attention to them. Lean toward them. Notice what they have in common with each other. What consistent thread runs through all the moments when you have felt most fully alive and most fully yourself. That thread is the outline of your purpose. Now let me address the question that rises in some hearts at this point in the conversation. The question that sounds something like this: but what if I have already gone the wrong way? What if the detours I have taken, the choices that were not wise, the seasons of running from rather than running toward, what if those have disqualified me from the road you prepared? They have not. Not one of them. Not the longest detour. Not the most persistent pattern of moving in the wrong direction. Not the time you knew what the call was and chose something else because the other thing seemed safer, or easier, or more immediately satisfying. Not any of it. This is not because those choices did not matter. They did matter, and you know they did. It is because I am the kind of shepherd who does not abandon the sheep that went off the path. I am the kind of father who runs toward the one who was lost and throws a celebration when they turn back toward home. I am the kind of purpose giver who is not surprised by your humanity and who built your story with enough redemptive elasticity to absorb your wrong turns and bring you back to the road. Every detour has become part of the formation, even the painful ones, even the ones you are still somewhat ashamed of, especially those sometimes because the capacity for compassion that your purpose requires was grown in part by your own experience of needing it. The understanding you will bring to others was deepened by the seasons in which you yourself needed to be understood. Your road through the difficult places equipped you for the specific work waiting on your path. I did not waste your wilderness. I was building in it. The healing that has begun in your own soul, the restoration of things that were broken, the recovery of things that were lost. All of that is directly connected to the purpose ahead of you. You cannot give what you have not received. You cannot lead others through terrain you have never yourself traversed. The path I am walking you through is sometimes the path I am preparing you to walk with others. The healing in you is the curriculum. The restoration in you is the qualification. What you thought was only a wound has been becoming a wisdom. What you thought was only a scar has been becoming a bridge. The places in your life where you suffered, where things did not go the way you hoped or planned, where loss came and left its mark, those places are not just evidence of your humanity. They are the textured, lived experience that allows you to stand with someone else in a similar dark valley and to say with complete authenticity, I have been in this valley too, and I know the one who walks through it with us. Let me show you what I found. That kind of witness, that kind of testimony that was forged in actual experience rather than just borrowed from a book, is irreplaceable. It is something that no amount of training or natural gifting can substitute for. And you have been accumulating it, even in the seasons when it felt only like loss. So, come back to the road. If you have been standing at a distance, come back. If fear has kept you at the edge, watching others walk in their purpose while you wondered about your own, come back. The road is still here. The calling has not expired. The gifts have not atrophied. The design has not changed. I have simply been waiting for this moment, this particular point in your journey, to speak with the kind of clarity that can only come when you are ready to hear it. And you are ready. That is why you are here. Let me speak now about what the path ahead actually looks like, because I think the image of purpose that many people carry is one of instant clarity, one bright revelation that lands like a lightning strike and reorganizes everything in a single moment. And while I can and sometimes do move in dramatic ways, the more common experience of purpose unfolding is something much gentler and much more like the way a path through a forest becomes visible to the eyes that learn to look for it. At first, in dense trees, there is no obvious path. There is only the forest. But then, the eye adjusts, and what seemed like random underbrush resolves itself into the faint suggestion of a trail. A place where the ground is slightly more worn, where the light falls at a particular angle that seems almost intentional, where the trees have grown slightly wider apart as if by design, and suddenly the traveler realizes they can see it. Not the whole trail, not the destination, but the next portion, clear enough to follow. And as they step toward it and walk along it, the following portion becomes clear, and then the next. This is how purpose reveals itself to the faithful traveler. You may not need to know where the road ends, you need to know where the next step falls. And I am the one who makes that clear, progressively, faithfully, as you walk. Not all at once, because you could not carry it all at once. Not in a single dramatic revelation, because you are not meant to arrive at the destination in a single dramatic leap. You are meant to walk, to grow, to deepen, to become, step by step, the person fully fitted for what waits at the further points of the road. This means that right now, in the life you are currently living, there are already steps available to you. Already portions of the road that are visible enough to walk. Already areas in which the gifts you carry could be offered, the compassion you hold could be expressed, the specific contribution only you can make could begin to be made. You do not need to wait for a grander stage. The road is underfoot right now. The question is whether you are willing to look down and see it. There is a step that has been waiting for you. Maybe you sense what it is already. Maybe it is a conversation you have been putting off because you were not sure if it was your place to have it. Maybe it is an offering of your skill in a space where you questioned whether you were the right person. Maybe it is a return to something you set down a long time ago, something that once lit you up from the inside but that you packed away because life got complicated or because someone suggested it was not practical. Whatever the step is that you know is the next step, this is me telling you that the road does not continue until you take it. Not because I am withholding the rest of the path from you as leverage, but because the path continues in the direction of your obedience. The road is built ahead of you, yes, but the portion of it that becomes visible to you is always the portion that opens up in response to your forward movement. The step you take in faith is the action that pulls the next section of the road into view. This is the rhythm of a life walked in purpose. I want to tell you something about the people who walk in their purpose. Not as distant examples, but as something I want you to understand about the life available to you. The people who find their road and walk it faithfully. They are not always the most dramatically gifted or the most publicly visible. They are not always the ones the world calls successful by its own measures. They are the ones who discovered what they were made to do and chose to do it with their whole hearts, regardless of the size of the audience and regardless of whether the world recognized the significance of what they were contributing. Their secret is not talent. It is alignment. When a life is aligned with purpose, there is a quality of energy available to it that cannot be manufactured by willpower or discipline alone. When you are doing what you were made to do, in the way you were made to do it, something in you opens. The work that would exhaust a person doing something they are not built for fills you with a strange kind of satisfaction, even when it is hard. The giving that would deplete someone who is misaligned replenishes you even as you pour out. The hours pass differently, the effort costs differently. Something in your nature recognizes the alignment and responds to it, the way a lock recognizes its key and turns. This is not a trick of psychology. It is the engineering of purpose. I designed you to thrive in alignment with your calling, and I want that for you. Not just a version of your life that is acceptable or manageable or gets you through. I want the version where you are truly alive, walking the road that was made for your particular feet, using the gifts that were carved into your nature before you were born, contributing the specific thing the world needs from you, and that no one else can give. That life is available to you. It is not reserved for someone else. It is not contingent on your being perfect or fully healed or completely free of doubt. It is yours. It is the road I have been preparing since before you arrived. There is a moment in every journey where the traveler must make a decision. The path has become visible. The direction has become clear enough to follow. And the question is no longer whether the road is real, but whether the traveler is willing to take the next step onto it. That moment often comes with a feeling that is not quite courage and not quite peace, but something in between. A kind of quiet resolution, a knowing that does not depend on certainty about every detail ahead, A simple readiness to move in the direction of what is true, one step at a time, trusting the one who built the road. I am asking you to enter that moment now, not to understand everything, not to have every question answered before you move, not to feel completely ready or completely free of the anxiety that has attended this conversation, just to take the next available step, just to say yes to the portion of the road that is currently visible, just to offer the gift that is already in your hand in the space that is already in front of you, because that one step, that one yes, opens the next portion of the road, and the next yes opens the portion after that. Let me speak now about something that happens on the road that many people do not expect. The moment when the purpose you have been given comes into tension with the life you built while you were waiting for clarity. The moment when the call asks something of you that costs something real. Because the road of purpose is not always the same as the path of least resistance. Sometimes the direction I am pointing you toward requires a willingness to let go of something that felt like security. A role that paid the bills, but slowly narrowed you. A relationship dynamic that was familiar, but was not pulling you toward your best. A version of yourself that you constructed for other people's approval, but that was never quite true. The calling sometimes asks you to leave things behind on the road, not cruelly, not arbitrarily, but because the life that is fully aligned with your purpose cannot be built on the same foundation as the life that was not. This is one of the places where courage is asked of you, specifically, by name. Not the dramatic courage of a battlefield decision made in a single moment under extreme pressure. The quieter, more sustained courage of a person who chooses, day after day, to move in the direction of what is true, even when the comfortable thing would be to stay where they are. The courage to disappoint some people in order to be faithful to the call. The courage to appear uncertain or unconventional or not quite fitting the expected mold for the season, while purpose is being clarified and established. The courage to let go of a smaller story in order to step into the larger one. This kind of courage is built gradually, through small acts of faithfulness to what you actually know is true, even when the social cost is real, through the repeated practice of choosing alignment over approval, through the growing discovery that living in your purpose, even at the cost of certain comforts, feels more like being alive than anything the comfortable misalignment was offering. And as you build that courage, something beautiful happens. The things you let go of on the road stop looking like losses. In the rear view of the journey, from the place of greater alignment, they look like the necessary lightening of a traveler who was carrying too much for the road ahead. They look like freedom, gained in the letting go. Freedom that made possible the fuller expression of what you were always meant to be. Now let me return to the heart of what I most want to tell you, because this is the kind of truth that needs to be visited more than once, approached from different angles, until it settles into the deepest places where resistance has lived. You were not put here to observe. You were put here to participate. The world you live in is not a stage on which other people perform, while you watch from the audience wondering what your role was supposed to be. You are on the stage. The curtain has risen. The role I designed for you is not being performed by an understudy because you were not sure enough to take it. It is waiting, faithfully, specifically, without the impatient ticking of a countdown clock, but waiting nonetheless. The role requires you. Not a projected version of you, not a sufficiently improved future version of you, but the you who exists right now, with the wounds that have become wisdom and the gifts that have been growing even in the seasons when you were not actively tending them, and the longing in your chest that you have been calling confusion, but that I would call the correct reading of a compass. That longing is the correct reading of a compass. It is pointing you home. And home, in this sense, is not a physical place. Home is the experience of being exactly who you were made to be, doing exactly what you were made to do, in the presence of the one who made you. Purpose, at its deepest level, is not a career path. It is a state of being, a quality of alignment between the soul and its source. And I have been guiding you toward that alignment with every experience of your life, every relationship, every gain, every loss, every moment of unexpected joy, and every long stretch of difficult road. All of it has been pointing you here, to this clarity, to this readiness, to this willingness to stop asking whether you have a purpose and to start walking in the certainty that you do. The calling on your life is not vague. I said that at the beginning, and I want to say it again, because I know how often you have suspected that everyone else's purpose is specific and vivid, and yours is somehow cloudy. Here is something I want to offer you as a practical anchor for the days ahead. When you do not know the full shape of your purpose, but you want to begin walking toward it, there's a question you can carry that functions like a compass in the ordinary moments of your life. Not a formula, not a checklist, but a genuine question that you bring with you into each situation. What is mine to offer here? This question changes everything about how you move through a day. Instead of moving through the hours waiting for the grand revelation of your calling to arrive before you begin living on purpose, you carry this question into each moment and let it reveal the small acts of faithful contribution that are already available to you. The person in front of you who needs something specific that you carry, the situation that needs exactly the quality of attention or skill or compassion that you have developed, the space in the room that is exactly the shape of what you have to give. Practiced over time, this question trains the seeing. You begin to notice the alignment between what you carry and what the moment needs, not occasionally in dramatic circumstances, but regularly in the texture of ordinary days. And that noticing is itself the road. That consistent practice of bringing your gifts to what is in front of you is what the road looks like when you are walking it faithfully through the unremarkable stretches as well as the significant ones. Your purpose is not only for the significant moments, it is for all of them. The clarity you desire is available to you. It comes through the same process as every other aspect of your walk with me. You do not receive it by waiting at a distance and hoping it arrives. You receive it by drawing near, by walking in what is already clear, by offering what you already carry in the spaces that are already in front of you, and by trusting that the fuller revelation will come as you walk toward it. The road that is built for your feet is clear enough for your next step. That is all you need it to be right now. What I am giving you in this moment is not just a message about purpose in the abstract. It is a specific invitation to a specific life, the one I designed for you, the one that has your name on it, the one that will not feel right to anyone else who tries to walk it because it was built for the contours of your particular soul. The road knows your feet. The calling knows your name. And I want to address something that can make the hearing of a message like this complicated. Something that may be creating a kind of friction even now as you receive these words. The sense that you have heard something like this before. The awareness that purpose and calling are things you have thought about, prayed about, sought clarity on, and that this is not your first journey down this particular stretch of road in your thinking. Maybe you have had seasons of great clarity that were followed by seasons of confusion, and the pattern has made you wonder whether the clarity was real, or whether you were only telling yourself what you wanted to hear. Maybe you have taken steps toward what felt like your calling, only to have circumstances shift in ways that seemed to close the doors you were walking toward. Maybe you have watched other people step confidently into purpose while you have remained in the place of seeking, and the gap between their apparent certainty and your continued uncertainty has begun to feel personal, like there is something specifically unresolved about you that is keeping you circling the question rather than arriving at the answer. I want to speak directly to that. The circling is not failure. The returning to the same question, even after seasons of having thought you had moved past it, is not evidence of spiritual stagnation. It is evidence of the depth and seriousness with which you hold this question. The people who do not care about their purpose do not keep returning to ask about it. The very fact that you keep coming back to this question, keep caring about whether your life is aligned with something real and significant, is itself a quality of the person the road was built for. Depth of seeking produces depth of finding. The roots that grow slowly in the searching are the roots that hold when the winds come on the road ahead. And the doors that closed, the chapters that seemed to end before they were finished, the seasons of what felt like wrong turns. I want you to look at those differently than the fear has been asking you to look at them. The door that closed, even the one you were most certain was yours, closed because what was behind it was not the road. It may have been a road. It may have been a good road, even, for someone else. But it was not the road built for your specific feet. And a door that leads to the wrong road, however promising it looks from the outside, is a door that I will close, not to hurt you, to protect you for the road that is actually yours. Every closed door has been directional information. Every detour has narrowed the field of possibilities in ways that are slowly pointing you toward the one road that was always the true one. The path of elimination is still a path. The journey through what was not quite right is still preparing you for what is exactly right. The clarity you are approaching is the clarity that has been distilled through all of that searching and circling and knocking on doors and having them close. It is clearer for the process. You will recognize it more surely for having understood, through long experience, what does not quite fit. The sense of rightness that comes from arriving at the actual road, after the long process of discerning what it is not, is a more settled sense than the rightness you would have felt if you had never needed to search at all. Before I speak to the part of you that has been tired, let me speak to the part of you that has been watching. The part that has been observant enough to notice how the pieces of your life seem to be arranging themselves lately. The conversations that have come back around. The themes that keep reappearing. The sense that things which seemed disconnected are beginning to show a pattern, a shape, a direction that feels less like coincidence and more like coordination. That observation is accurate. What you are noticing is real. The arrangement you sense is not projection. It is the actual movement of the road becoming clearer under your feet, the path that was always there becoming visible to your eyes as they adjust to the light I have been bringing gradually into this season. When a purpose is about to become clear in a new way, there is often a period that immediately precedes the clarity in which things seem to gather themselves, in which threads that seemed separate reveal themselves as part of the same tapestry, in which the past and the present and the future begin to show their connection. This is not something you are manufacturing with wishful thinking. It is something I am doing in your life, drawing together what was scattered, orienting what was disoriented, making the path more plain in preparation for the next sustained stretch of walking. The gathering you sense around you, the convergence of themes and directions and promptings, is a sign. The sign of a season in which revelation is imminent and in which your attentiveness matters. Stay alert. Stay present. Keep the quality of attention you have been giving to what I am showing you. Because the clarity that has been building is about to become more specific, more actionable, more fully yours to walk in. This is a particular season on the road of your purpose. Receive it as the gift it is. Let me speak to the part of you that has been tired. Because I know the search for purpose, when it goes on long enough without resolution, becomes its own kind of exhaustion. The wondering, the comparing, the trying and the stopping and the trying again. The conversations with yourself at night when the day's distractions have faded and you are back at the same question you have always carried. Why am I here? And what am I supposed to do with this one life I have been given? That tiredness is real, and I hold it tenderly. But what I want to offer you is not a longer search. What I want to offer you is an arrival, a landing, a resting of the compass that has been trembling, a settling of the needle on the direction that is true north. Your purpose is being revealed to you, not as a distant future event, but as a present unfolding. Not as something that will happen to you, but as something that is already moving in your direction. The clarity you have been asking for is nearer than you think, closer than the doubts that have occupied the foreground of your mind, waiting just beneath the surface of the uncertainty, ready to rise into full view as you take the next step of faith. Come back to the path. Walk the portion that is visible. Offer what you have been given. Say yes to what you sense is calling you. And trust that the one who designed this road is committed to walking every step of it with you, making clear what you need to see when you need to see it, providing what you need when you arrive at each new stretch of road. Let me speak about something that happens in a life that has found its road and begun to walk it faithfully. Something that does not happen all at once, but quietly, gradually, like the way a room that has been cold for a long time slowly fills with warmth when the fire is lit. The fear does not disappear immediately. This is important to say, because some people expect the discovery of purpose to be accompanied by a sudden total absence of all uncertainty. And when the uncertainty persists, they conclude that perhaps they are on the wrong road after all. But purpose does not eliminate the fear of the road. It changes your relationship to the fear. The anxiety that once was in front of you, blocking the path, moves alongside you, where it can still be felt, but where it no longer stops you. You walk with it rather than being held back by it. You move forward in spite of it rather than waiting for it to clear before you move. And over time, as the road proves itself under your feet, as you discover again and again that the ground holds, that the provision appears at the right moment, that the strength is there when you arrive at the place that needs it, the fear gradually settles, not into silence necessarily, but into something manageable, something that has been put in its proper place by the accumulated evidence of faithfulness on the road. This is one of the gifts of the walking. The further down the road you go, the richer the testimony you carry. The more times you have seen the provision arrive, the more times you have experienced the road open ahead of you just when you needed it to. The more times you have watched what looked like an obstacle become, inexplicably, a doorway. The more settled you become in the knowledge that you are on the right road, and that the one who built it has not abandoned you on it. Trust is not given in advance. It is built through experience, and the road of purpose is the curriculum. There is also a companionship that grows on the road that does not exist in quite the same way anywhere else. As you walk in your purpose, as you begin to offer what you carry in the spaces that need it, you will find that you are not alone in the offering. Not only because I am beside you, though I always am, but because the road gathers companions. Other travelers who are walking in the direction of their own calling and who recognize in you a fellow traveler headed the same way. People who sharpen you. People whose gifts complement yours in ways you could not have anticipated. People who will carry you on the stretches where your own strength runs low, and who will need you to carry them in return on the stretches where theirs does. This community of purpose walkers is one of the great gifts of the road. Not the community you assemble deliberately by seeking like-minded people. The community that assembles itself around a shared direction, drawn together by the magnetic pull of people who are each living the life they were made to live. This kind of community, when you find it, or rather when it finds you, feels like arriving home in a new place. Like meeting people you somehow already knew. Like the road you thought you might be walking alone, revealing that it was never quite as solitary as it seemed. There is a healing that happens when purpose becomes clear. A particular kind of healing that does not come from any other source. The healing of deep significance. The mending of the wound that asks, does my life matter? Does what I do with my days matter? Am I worth the space I take up in the world? The answer to all of those questions is an absolute and resounding yes. And as you step more fully onto the road of your purpose, as the alignment between who you are and what you do with who you are grows clearer and deeper, you will feel that healing in the most intimate places of your soul. The places that wondered. The places that ached with the uncertainty of not knowing why. The healing of rightness. The peace that comes from walking where you were built to walk. This is what I have for you. Not just a future destination, but a present experience of growing alignment. Not just a distant purpose, but an unfolding one. Becoming clearer as you walk. Becoming fuller as you trust. Becoming more fully yours as you offer what you carry to the world that needs it. The journey of purpose does not end. It deepens. Every stretch of road walks you into a richer understanding of both the calling and of the one who gave it. Every step of obedience, every moment of faithfulness in the small things, every offering of the gifts you carry in whatever space is available to you right now, builds something in you and through you that the simple passing of time cannot build. You are not just walking towards something. You are becoming someone. And the someone you are becoming is the fullest and most alive version of the person I designed when I designed you. Let me walk you into the final stretch of what I want to speak today. The section of the road where the path rises slightly, and you can begin to see further than you could from the lower ground. This is the vantage point from which I want to speak to you about what is ahead. What is ahead of you on the road of your purpose is not a continuation of the same level of life you have been living. What is ahead involves an expansion. not necessarily in the outward, visible, measurable terms by which the world counts expansion, though those things may come in their own season. An expansion in depth, in the quality of your contribution, in the fullness with which you inhabit the life I designed for you. Think of a river that begins in the high mountains as a narrow, urgent stream. It moves fast and clear and with great energy, but it is narrow. Everything about it is concentrated and compressed by the closeness of its banks. As it descends and widens, the river does not lose its strength. It becomes something different with that strength. Broader, more navigable, capable of supporting what could not survive in the narrow, rushing stream. The expansion is not a loss of the original urgency. It is that urgency finding its fuller expression. That is the image of what is ahead in your purposeful life. The energy and passion you have always felt. The sense of calling that has burned in you even through the seasons of uncertainty. That does not diminish as you mature into the fuller expression of your purpose. It finds the banks that allow it to become what it was always meant to become. Broad enough to carry things. Deep enough to sustain what depends on it. Clear enough that people can see the bottom, can trust its purity, can drink from it without fear. The fullness of purpose is not a distant theoretical possibility. It is the natural destination of a life that keeps walking the road. Every faithful step moves you toward it. Every act of offering what you carry in the spaces that need it deepens the channel. Every season of formation widens the capacity. The river is becoming, step by step, the river it was always meant to be. And I will be there at every bend, guiding the widening, deepening the channel where it needs to be deeper, clearing what obstructs the flow, faithful to the design of the river I have been building in you since the beginning of your life. Now I want to speak to you about the people on your road, because purpose is never fully a solitary thing, and the people who appear on the journey are not incidental to the calling. They are part of it. There are people already in your life who are waiting for the version of you that is more fully walking in your calling, not consciously. They are not sitting somewhere thinking about your purpose, but they are living in needs that your specific gifts and your specific road are designed to meet. The person who will be steadied by your particular kind of presence. The one who will be helped through a hard passage by the specific thing you went through and came through and can now speak from the inside of. The one who needs to see a life like yours, a life that has walked the long road of seeking and has finally arrived at some clarity, as evidence that the seeking is not futile and the road is real. These people are not props in your story. They are the reason the story matters. They are the ones whose presence on the road gives your walking its full significance. The purpose I gave you was always meant to be a gift, not just to the world in the abstract, but to specific people in specific moments of genuine need. Your obedience to the calling is your agreement to be available for those moments when they arrive. This is why purpose is ultimately not about you, not in the sense that your joy and fulfillment do not matter, because they do, and they are part of the design, but in the sense that the deepest satisfaction on the road comes not from your own experience of alignment, as real and good as that is, but from the moment when what you carry lands in exactly the need it was built to meet. When you see the specific effect of your specific contribution in a specific life, that moment, when it comes, confirms everything. It silences the old doubts more thoroughly than any amount of rational argument could. It says, this is why. This is the road. This is what the long journey was for. The road I built for you does not lead to a small life. It leads to a full one. Not full in the sense of busy or complicated or overloaded with activity. Full in the sense of meaning, of depth, of the particular richness that comes from a life given to something larger than itself. Full in the sense of true satisfaction, the kind that settles in the bones and does not require continuous external validation. The quiet certainty of a person who knows why they are here and who walks each day in that knowledge, offering each day what they were made to offer, receiving each day what the road provides. That is the life available to you. I am proud of the person you are, not for what you have achieved or what you have yet to achieve. Proud of the one who kept walking even when the road was hard to see, the one who kept caring even when caring was costly, the one who kept asking the deep questions even when the answers were slow in coming. That faithfulness, that persistence of soul, that refusal to stop reaching toward the thing you sensed was real, even when you could not yet fully articulate what that thing was, that is the character of someone who is ready for the road. And so, you are ready. The path is visible. The call is real. The gifts are already in your hands. The provision is already aligned along the road. The people who need what you carry are already positioned in your path. The next step is already underfoot. All that remains is the walking. I will be with you every single step of the way, not as a distant overseer watching from somewhere far above, as the companion who built this road and who walks it beside you, who knows every stone and every turn, who knows your exact capacity at every point of the journey, and who will never ask you to carry more than you can bear at any given moment, who replenishes you when you are emptied and restores you when you are worn, who is, at every point along the road, more committed to your purpose than you yourself could ever be, because your purpose is not separate from my love for you. It is one of the primary expressions of it. I have loved you by giving you gifts. I have loved you by designing a road that is exactly fitted to who you are. I have loved you by walking with you on that road even in the seasons when you did not know I was there. I have loved you by unfolding the revelation of your calling at the pace that allows you to receive it and live inside it, rather than only know about it. I have loved you by refusing to give up on the road I built when you wandered from it, by always making a way for you to return. I have loved you by being the strength you do not have on your own, so that the calling does not crush you under its weight, but actually lifts you as you walk in it. This is the love that called you into existence. This is the love that built the road. This is the love that is speaking to you right now. And this love has a specific direction for your life that it is actively and faithfully revealing to you. Not when you are perfect. Now. Here. In the life you are actually living, with the gifts you actually carry, from the exact point on the road where you are actually standing. The revelation of your purpose is not a future event you are waiting for. It is a present unfolding you are already inside of. Every conversation that left you thinking, every experience that left a mark, every moment of unexpected alignment, of the right thing being said at the right time, of an opportunity appearing from an unexpected direction, all of that has been the revelation speaking in the language of your daily life. Learn to read that language. Learn to recognize my voice in the ordinary texture of your days. Learn to see the road in the places where the path seems clear, and to trust my presence in the places where it does not, because the road is real. Your purpose is real. The calling on your life is real and specific, and cannot be fulfilled by anyone else in the history of human lives. There is a space in the world that was made for your specific contribution, that will go unfilled if you do not fill it, that is waiting for you with a kind of faithful patience that mirrors the patience with which I have been waiting for you to arrive at exactly this moment. Now come, take the next step. Offer what you carry in the space that is in front of you. Be faithful with the small stretch of road that is currently visible, and watch as I unfold the next portion, and the next, until the full beauty of what I have built for your life becomes unmistakably clear. You were made for this road, and this road was made for you, not some generalized human road that anyone might walk. This specific road, with its particular terrain and its particular turns and its particular destination, was built for the person you are, with the gifts you carry, coming from the history you have lived. No other set of feet fits this road the way yours does. No other history equips for this journey the way yours does. No other combination of what you have been given and what you have walked through qualifies for this specific calling the way you do. Walk it, precious lamb. Walk it with joy and with courage. Walk it with the knowledge that every step is held, every gift is seen, every act of faithful obedience is woven into something larger and more beautiful than you can currently imagine. The journey of your purpose begins again, right here. And as you begin, carry this with you. The one who called you is the one who keeps you. You do not sustain your calling through the power of your own determination. You carry it in partnership with me. When the road gets long and the visible signs of progress thin, you return to the partnership. When the fear rises and the self-doubt whispers that you were wrong about all of this, you return to the partnership. When the very weight of the purpose you carry feels more than you can hold, you return to the partnership, and you find that I had been holding it with you all along. The calling was never meant to rest on your shoulders alone. It was meant to rest on ours, together. That is the covenant of the road. Not that I will make it easy, but that I will be faithful on it. Not that every stretch will be clear, but that every step of honest seeking will be met by my light. Not that you will never be confused or tired or doubtful, but that, in every confusion, every exhaustion, every doubt, my hand is on your shoulder and my voice is in your ear saying, "This is the way. Walk in it." And I am here. Walk the road, precious lamb. Walk it in the confidence of one who has been called, equipped, guided, and accompanied. Walk it in the knowledge that what you carry matters deeply, and that the world that needs it is already waiting. Amen. If this message touched your heart today, please take a moment to share with someone in your life who may be searching for their own sense of purpose. Someone who has been questioning why they are here. Someone who needs to hear that their life is not an accident. Someone who has been waiting for the clarity and courage to step onto the road that was made for them. Type Amen in the comments to receive this blessing and to let others know you are here. Your presence matters. Your voice matters. And as you walk into the fullness of your purpose, may every step be filled with the peace of knowing you are exactly where you are supposed to be.